you so much. Thank you, everybody, for such a warm applause. Um, Thank you, Shashikanth, for making it more balanced. Otherwise, it would have been a women panel. Today, our topic is navigating challenges for HRs in a globalized world. When I got this topic, I couldn't decipher what is globalized world, and I leave up to this panel. How do you decode what is a globalized world? Why do we need it? Why do we need it? What are we doing with it? Specific to HR, it can be your wild imagination, your observations across the sectors. So we start with discussing what is globalized world in your understanding, what is your personal definition to it. Furthermore, we will discuss in this panel about how cultural differentiations give you scope of opportunities to work, also give you many challenges. Towards the end, we try to sum up with what is expected if a CHRO is leading in a globalized world. What are some of the things that he or she can't compromise on? Are we good with this? We have a very eminent panel with us today, holding a lot of years of experience. And it's my privilege to be speaking with you all. Now I'm going right to you. Tell me, in your understanding, what is globalized world in 2025 mean to you?
Yeah. I think if I take a step back, if you're okay with that, Resham, we should understand why we are looking at a globalized world. We could easily be an Indian company, right? So why is it that I want to make foray as an organization into Europe, into US, or into Middle East? That's because of multiple reasons. So every organization has its own reasons of why they want to be globalized. So for me, as an HR personnel, it's very important for me to understand why we want to go global. And once I know that, then is where my strategy around globalized world happens. So for us as an organization, why we went global is because we want to build foray of supply chain into Europe, into US, because US, we did a great job. We said, why not look at other geographies? Why put all our eggs into one basket? So keeping that in mind, we said for the next stage of growth, we need to go global. And at the managerial level, we asked them, what is in it for you to go global? At the employee level, we asked them, what is in it for you to go global? And of course, management knew why. And once we understood all of that is where the tactical piece started. Because till we don't have a buy-in of being global, our culture cannot be global. So that's the reason why I've been able to answer your question.
That's interesting. You brought in culture. We will deep dive in that later after this round gets over. Shubhra, your take on how do you define or decode globalized world for Shubhra? You give it a personal touch. You need not to get into strategy or why you plan to foray, but how do you decode it personally?
So I think maybe I'm going to take a couple of nuances to how do we see the global world, right? So of course, I mean today I think from a business standpoint, people are going global on. Organizations are going on global for two reasons. One is, of course, you want to go global for markets. So, I mean, the traditional definition, I think, when we talked about global organizations was, I'm working for a multinational, right? But today, I actually think that we have so many organizations which are Indian started here in India, but they are going global, right? And it's not just the conglomerates of Tatas or Mahindras, but even startups, right? I mean, I was being told that, Resham, yesterday you facilitated a panel on fintech, right? And if you see, fintech revolution was started in India, and now it's being taken to so many neighboring, Southeast Asian countries. So there's, of course, a business reason why the world is becoming, more global, because you want to go broader on markets. I think another very interesting thing on global definition for me is that the talent is global, right? I mean, like I represent Honeywell Technology Solutions. It was a capability center that was started in India, and Honeywell came to India for, let's say, talent. But today you are wanting to go global because you have access to talent in many different geographies. And the third personal bit is that I think, we at an individual level work with people, like I am based here, the teams are in Mexico, in Czech, and you just need to have a very global mindset to be able to work with people, right? So I think there's so many different connotations of looking at this.
Interesting, interesting. Shruti, what do you say? How is it different for you, and how do you look at it?
Yes, so my answer would be a little different because Curefit, which is also known as Culfit, is currently present in India. We went global, that is in Dubai in 2020, but we had to shut our operations because of pandemic. Now, why we aspire to go global, if any one of you would have seen the recent podcast of Mukesh Bansal, he mentioned about it, that we're planning to go global very soon. So like Shubhra rightly said, one of the reasons is market, but if you ask the cult language and definition or the philosophy, we want to take fitness and active lifestyle, Indian style, the Indian way, to the world. We have been getting overwhelming responses because currently everyone would want to stay active and fit, but one thing which is lacking is the motivation and the nudge. We are here to build that community, and we have built that strong community. We want to take that community to different countries. And again, to bring the talent, we learn both the ways. When we are taking our fitness, our community, our intelligence to your country, we in return learn by hiring the local talent in those countries. So it's a win-win situation. So that's the strategy we have when we are going global.
So this building in India for the globe is something really, really common to my ears, because as a part of my job, I primarily take care of one of the verticals, that's startups community, and I get to meet a lot of entrepreneurs and investors today, and everybody is so gung-ho about building in India, but for the world. This is not restricted to only technology or some particular sector, it's all across the board. Everybody is so excited. I mean, the one good story that's coming to my mind right now is UPI. I mean, it's fantabulous. Coming to you, I mean, of course, ladies first on the panel, you're the last one to pick up the mic and say a bit, but how do you look at it? What is your definition of globalized world?
Sure. First of all, namaskara Bengaluru, and thanks to fellow panelists here. Nari Shakti, stage kafi bhari lag raha hai, but it's a pleasure, and it's been a crazy day. I come from Chennai. I chose to drive my car today, and 6 hours of driving straight onto the stage. It can't get any crazier than this. I'll try to do my best.
He deserves, I was about to say, he deserves an applause, yeah?
And, yeah, and then I find adding to a purpose of adding diversity to the stage, okay, makes me feel good. Wonderful. I think talking about globalization, it's about, let's go back from looking at it from a business lens, right? Why do businesses exist, right? As long as we get the why behind it and what are we solving, right? The world is getting more and more consumerism oriented, as we know. India services economy has overtaken the agrarian society that contributes to the GDP. With all of that, I think we exist because there is an idea and there is a business around it, right? Come to think of it, Uber, most of us would be using Uber. Uber started as a localized idea. Uber started because it wanted to solve a car parking problem in San Francisco. People are finding it difficult to park cars, so can we hail rides where a taxi comes right to the place where I stand rather than me going to a place where a taxi is available, right? So that's how something like that came about. So as long as there is an idea that serves a need, amplify it, magnify it, see how it caters to markets, and organically take it globally. And globally, it's just incidental, right? Where there is money, where there is consumerism, where there is need, you will find businesses occupying prominently there, and you will find talent fulfilling the business objectives there. If I, as a company, represent a Bay Area headquartered organization with development teams in Chennai, Coimbatore, a smaller team in Bangalore, partnering with teams in Israel, working for a Japanese client, taking models and inspiration from European clients in the past, and delivering at the cost of what the Chinese can offer, I truly embody what globalization is in my organization. And I rest my case there.
Interesting. You put it in a very interesting way. And that's actually what everybody said on the panel, and that's what we are here to discuss. One thing that intrigued me is absolutely culture. I want to go deeper into it. This is one area where HRs lead the round. I mean, there are many deeper problems, many intensive problem areas that you might be working on, but culture is one thing that you lead. How difficult or how easy is it to maintain when it comes to cross-border? Even if you are in India, it's different in different cities. You can talk about that too. Anybody who want to go first?
So I strongly believe culture is not one monolith. It's not a unified block. Sorry, especially in a country like India. So in Curefit also, while we have one single definition of culture, the values revolve around, one second, sorry. Sorry guys.
You can take some time. In the
Yeah, I
meantime,
think we're
Puja
good.
can.
Yeah.
So to be in a globalized workforce, something like a vision has to be overarching. I think when you're looking at a globalized workforce, culture has to be overarching. It should be flexible and all-encompassing, which means that, for example, if there is a culture in any of the organization where we say we need to come in at 9 o'clock and leave at 5, put in that many hours of work, it cannot be a global thing, global culture. So if we are rigid about certain cultures, certain aspects in the organization, we have to change that. And that is, to me, is very important because it will take care of all the changes of future, be resilient if it's more overarching. So that to me is
Important point there. Yeah, Shubhra, please.
So I think I'm going to build from where Puja left. I believe that the culture piece is shifting in a globalized organization to more guiding principles. Because if we have to survive, thrive in a globalized world, we have to kind of weave in how each culture behaves, right? I mean, how we are as a community, how, like recently, and I'm going to make it like more example, right? Because, recently we had one of the CTOs visit India, and then, she came and asked me, hey, I'm, like in the US, it's very different because people come, they go finish their, they'll sit at their desk, they'll finish their work, and they're very, regimented. I'm here to work, and then you're going to go back at 5 and whatever. But hey, here in India, I see people, going on, there's some event that's happening. They want to go out for lunch together. And they're also very curious about asking me many things just about me as a person. And I said, yes, that's because, that's how we are as India, right? I mean, we are, we don't have like play dates. Our kids go and, play with the neighbors because that's how we are culturally. And people here bring, it's not just I'm coming here, sit on a desk and, finish my job. I want to know what my colleague is doing. I want to interact with, the next person. And if you want to build engagement with the team in India, you need to know and respect that culturally and then, get to know them as people because that's very important. So I just gave this example because as leaders, we also have to adapt our style to build a globally cohesive workforce. Similar thing if you go to Europe, like I have a team in Europe and the culture is very different. Like we as in India are more, like I'll give you a real example. Like my team member in Europe asked me, Shubhra, I want to ask you, how are you guys, like in India, I always feel people are okay to adjust. Okay, you want to do a call at 9 p.m., let's get it, let's get into a call because that's needed to get things done. Like in Europe, you can't do that. And I said, yeah, that's true that, we always find ways of adjusting and, finding our way through. That's how traffic works in India. But I know that I can't do that in Europe. If tomorrow I do that, I kind of, it would not be culturally sensitive, right? So I think as we are becoming leaders who have to work with teams across, we have to have some guiding principles. We have to be very culturally aware. And those guiding principles have to give enough flexibility to teams in in whichever parts of the world they are, to associate their identity to that. I think that's very important. If we make it regimented, I think people lose the connection with what you're trying to do. So that's my take on.
Interesting. So there comes flexibility, and addition to that, what Shubhra said, there are always some fundamental nuances of how do you hold your culture, or how you build it further with the recent context to it, what's happening across the globe. There are some fundamentals stick to that. Now there are some context that keeps on building. The world is really dynamic today. What can we do to not leave that behind? And we understand we need to be flexible. These are core areas that we can't leave out. Yeah, we need to be agile. We need to be resilient. We need to be open, listening to what others are saying, employees are saying. But how can we match the pace with what's happening today, and we not leave out on that?
In an increasing world of artificial intelligence enablement,
Now the moment AI comes in.
It is necessary to balance between natural intelligence and natural stupidity, right? I think all of us.
Can AI really help in culture building?
No. So what I'm trying to say is, with a lot of tech adoption, with a lot of nuclearization of our thoughts and the way we go about our job, I'll tell you the kind of problems that I face in a typical workforce today. People hardly smile. People hardly smile, right?
They're all smiles.
Right? Well, we are HR leaders. Our job is to smile and make others smile.
But is this
the
a real
point
problem?
It is a problem. People hardly smile, right? I'm talking about the 24, 25-year-olds, 23-year-olds. In looking for purpose in their job, they're completely immersed in it, and there is life beyond. So what happens is 5 days I slog, Saturday, Sunday, man, bindas, I'll enjoy life like anything. We must move out of this 5-day work and then 2-day work hard, party harder on the weekends. Every day is an enjoyable day. If you can bring that balance, it is easy. Culture, to me, is not a formula but a framework, right? Values and beliefs are the fundamental bedrock of culture, and there has to be certain minimum set of standard cultures that you have across the globe in an organization, and have scope for localization, right? So that's how I would construct culture in an organization. Or what I would suggest here is, I spoke about AI, right? Something that is non-negotiable and getting increasingly important is, can we have empathy as part of our culture across globally, right? Hey, can I put myself in your shoes and take a much more human approach? We are technologizing a lot of things. Can we humanize our approach? A little bit of, I'll give you a point in case, right? I work extensively with a team from China. I have a 100-member team in China. The basic issue with Chinese is they work hard. They work as hard as the Indians. The other problem is they have the language barrier. So when they speak, when they make an attempt, there is a lot of fillers when they speak. The fillers are more than the words. What I'm trying to tell you is, with a lot of fillers, it's difficult to catch the words and understand, what is a person trying to tell? If there is empathy, collaboration continues to thrive. If there is no empathy, we dismiss, we body shame, we dismiss them. I said, I can't work with this because I have a certain preference. I'll work only with people from the south or people from the north within India. Then you're talking of a cultural breakdown, and collaboration goes for a toss. Business imperatives do not get addressed.
I mean, with this, what I could understand is how specific are the problem areas. I mean, this is a deep problem to address too. And it's really specific to certain areas, certain people, certain functions. It's very specific, yeah. Before you start your bit, Shubhra wanted to add to.
I just wanted to clarify on one thing, which was, the flexibility and still having consistency. I think it's also very important that, the consistency comes when we are all aligned on the same business results. So, of course, if that kind of gets drifted, then I think we kind of, go we get disillusionment, right? So I think in a globally spread out world, alignment is very important. That what are you doing? Why are you doing? How does this impact the business and making it successful? And what we are giving you examples is experiences is how you have to be mindset-wise flexible to be able to work. Because otherwise, like what you said, we will only be looking at, then we won't be inclusive, right? And that's the piece. So I just wanted to clarify that otherwise people will feel that, hey, what's the common thread? The common thread is the principles, the common thread is that we're working towards the same mission,
Purpose.
outcomes piece.
Yeah, I was saying, I believe the consistency when it comes to culture can be managed by the value principles rather than behavior. Let me give you Curefit's example. We have common language of culture. We have customer obsession, bias for action, focus on physical and mental fitness, empathy, respect for co-workers, and so on. It remains constant and consistent. Having said that, how it is practiced in different areas, different teams, different functions may vary, depending on the region, depending on the maturity level of teams, depending on the kind of function they deal with. At Curefit, we have two categories. One is corporate function, another one is our core teams, which are our frontliners. So there, while the philosophy of culture is same, but there how we are practicing all these values may differ. And we have to tweak it or take a call accordingly. So it's all about sticking to the common theme, but operating it or practicing it as and when the situation arises.
Interesting. I'll come back to you, Shubhra and Shashikanth, on the part of how globalization is anchored with localization. In terms of your strategies, your practices, your policies, or your personal lens. I'll come back to you on this. Now, Puja, I was referring to a study that has come up with this certain data. It says 67% of cross-border teams struggle due to cultural misalignment. This is not because of strategy, this is cultural misalignment. Now, in your opinion, tell me how much of culture building is responsible or is a part of your personal understanding, your personal hold. Is it strategy or is it human?
To answer the question in 0 and 1, it is human. Let me give you an example. 3-4 years back, we were an Indian company and we did not have too many nationals. We had more of Indians even sitting abroad. Then what happened, we got a lot of local nationals coming in for different strategic reasons. And it was very difficult for our Indian managers to deal with local nationals. So then came a situation where we had a slump in the way we were doing business. So who got targeted first? The local nationals. It was not that they were bad, and it was not that the manager had a different mindset. It is about opening the eyes of the manager that these people are important to us. So that's the job that we do. So we have to have conversations. We have to ensure that the managers and the employees connect and they see value in each other and then make the decision. And that, to us, was an inflection point. Now, if you really look at it, our numbers have changed. We have so much of acceptance of local nationals today that they are thriving. We're making them thrive because we have got some good case studies, good, we make them visible. So that has really helped us in a way.
Interesting, very interesting. Shashikanth, what would you say on the piece of localization? Now, I understand that, as Shubhra in her initial remark,
Listening at the same time, right? We listen to every single employee with intent. When I say open door policy or when I say across hierarchy you talk to anybody, we listen. We listen with respect, we listen with intent. And a lot of conversations happen because there is mutual respect. The point is, nobody goes overboard to impress the other person, right? It's perfectly okay for me to say thank you in English or nandri in Tamil or dhanyavad in Hindi to somebody working in Dubai. I don't have to necessarily go and say shukran. I think we generally have a tendency to overdo things beyond because we want that acceptance. I said we want that acknowledgement, yes, the external validation, as we say, right, to be accepted. Truth be told, right, we still need to know where our boundaries are when we especially deal with clients across the globe. You find somebody from the Europe or Americas, I think the imperialistic mindset still comes in. It is changing, but lots more need to change. And I would say that as long as we respect space for each other, listen and show the empathy, we are good. It's working great guns for us. I can say that for sure.
very candid and very unfiltered. Anybody who's becoming a CHRO next year or the next year or the next year. Empathy and listening to employees or customers is something that's coming up again and again. You wanted to add something and your bit on localization as well in just 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's, I think I'm going to just take that. So I'm just going to, like, maybe, you know, we've talked about culture and all of that. I'm just going to give an example or, you know, put a flavor of, even if you have to attract, retain talent, right? And you have to have a global mindset, of course, but you have to have a very good view about what works in each of the regions. And I'll give you an example of this. I spent like close to 15 years with Texas Instruments, and when we were working, I mean, like any global organization, you would have a certain comp philosophy, right? And you would say, but we realized that, you know, in India, we had to be much more heavy on cash, because, you know, people would say, hey, and this is like pre-era of, you know, using the stock market boom. You know, people will not understand what is the value of this share money that you're giving. I want more cash. And that was not what the strategy that would work in the US. And we had to kind of, I mean, the company had to have the, you may call it empathy, you could call it localization, the understanding that if you have to win in India, if you have to attract in India, you have to probably change your comp philosophy for this market to be able to win. And we did that, right? And same thing is happening across, right? Like if you, you know, and if an Indian company is going to any of the other regions, we have to understand that what would make us win from a talent standpoint in that market. Of course, your comp philosophy would be consistent, which is, hey, I want to pay for performance, I want to differentiate for, you know, rewards. But I have to be flexible to say what is working in that region. Like you spoke about China. China doesn't like equity. They want cash, and they want cash like after every year. I want to see something. After every 18 months, I want to see something. And companies had to tweak and say, hey, what's going to work in US or what's going to work in Europe will not work in China if I want to win in China. So, you know, this is also an example of how are you empathetic at a very, very strategic level. Because if I try and apply an approach of it's working in this region and it's my global philosophy, it will not work in the market. And it will start showing up. How will it start showing up? We'll start seeing our attrition go up. We will start seeing that, you know, we can't attract the talent that we want. So I think it's very important that, you know, the more global we become, I think the more interplay of markets and, you know, consistency happens.
You just summarized what every HR professional goes through in their office, right? At the end of the day, it's just 2 words. Kitna milega?
Interesting way to put it. I mean, these are people who work on a very grand scale. They're talking business, and they're very, very focused on business outcomes, the larger purpose of the organization. But as part of my job, I get to speak to a lot of startup founders. They're very excited. I told you about it. And this is, I'm taking a very, very small example of a lot of makeup companies. They are doing trial experiments on different shades of lipstick, maybe different shades of foundation for brown skin. A lot of skincare companies are trying to come up with different types of sunscreen, different types of hair products for our super wavy and frizzy hairs. So hair are different in different regions. Skin is different in different regions. Lips are different in different regions. So it is just like that. So giving you a specialized, personalized, customized offering in across the band is the objective. We have 1 minute left. In 1 minute, quickly, all of us have to give me one specific point that will collectively make an HR work in a globalized world. One point that can't be compromised for an HR who said to be thriving in a globalized world. 57 seconds. Anybody can take up mic and say. Keep it quick and short.
Yeah, I believe it's cultural anchoring rather than cloning is something that we need to focus on. That goes a long way.
That's too heavy. Make it simple.
We don't have to replicate. It's the same example that I gave. Tweak it as and when it's required.
Perfect. I appreciate if it's more actionable and tangible.
I think it's sensitivity and empathy.
Perfect.
We spoke about it.
Perfect, perfect. Shubhra?
Yeah, I think for me also it is about being a very keen listener and observer.
Good one.
Personalize policies, humanize experiences.
Interesting, interesting. And on this note, I would like to, oh, you want to add something, Puja? Yeah, go for it.
So being sensitive is one. I've heard you. You told me I have issues. I hear and I walk off. What's the use of it? Right?
Yeah, walk the talk.
Credibility comes only when you respond.
Yeah.
So you have to listen and
Take
respond.
actions. Yeah.
So that the speed in which we respond, the authenticity with which we respond is make or break for us.
So one last thing from Curefit point of view, wellness has to be a strategy and not an add-on policy. So that again goes a long way.
Looks like they're not stopping. So was a compelling discussion for everybody. On this note, I would like to thank all of you for making time for this, for speaking with us. Thank you so much for being a very, very good audience.